Or in the previous ones I've laid out for you about the reparation thing, one way it could be handled. And then I got to talking about I think I brought up about Toni Braxton and that stuff, what goes on in that music business. I'm going to stay on that right now because concerns black people. Years ago, you'd see people, I've met the dudes, walking around New York. Some poor guy, black guy, I remember a guy telling me, he said, I was one of the original drifters. And he probably could have been. I've heard they ran through 12 to 14 of those people. People asked for their money. They'd be told, man, them fancy clothes we got you guys, them little uniforms, blah, 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 or just get the hell out of here. Because, like I talked about all these talented black women, there's another dude out there, he was ready to take their place. Outside the 15, 20 of them. That's when I brought that up about that manager of Miss Braxton. He probably had to take that deal to get her foot in the door. Like I told you about, and people just sit there and look at you. You go in there and tell, oh man, we got a black chick out here that can do everything. People look at you and say, so what, man? We can get 10,000 of them. And they can. Talk about all these talented black people. And oh, what's her name? Supposed to be the Queen of Soul. Man, you got the people have never been down on that southern Chitlin trip. There's thousands of women down there sing soul. Anyway, another way black people getting ripped off. Now, I've got up on Henry Seeley. I'm going to talk about, I think I've talked about it before in entertainment, but I'm going to get on it again because this is in the black people's category. That's the guy that played Shaka Zulu. He was a soccer star. I think somebody told me there's interviews about him up there on the internet where he was called the Black Cat. That was his name in football. I say soccer, that's what the damn stuff is. He was a star in that. In later years when he could, he helped out those teams. And he was called out to pick Shaka Zulu. He didn't have any training, really. The guy was a phenomenon. And they didn't get the money, all of those guys over there in South Africa. They didn't get what you call residuals, the royalties. They only made what they made when they made that movie. And probably a lot of them were underpaid then. Anyway, the Shaka Zulu was big. And as I said previously, it's supposed to be taught in the schools and the black studies and stuff like that about the great nation and South Africa had. They couldn't do it. They had bare-breasted women, so they couldn't go and put that in the schools. It was big. The music, it was big. The dude was an imposing figure in person. Tall and lean, and his face, man, and he could speak dramatically. Natural-born actor. He fell on hard times, died a bitter man, broke. Didn't make the money she got, like they say, them other movies and all the rest of those stars over there, them black guys, the same thing. Black men and women actresses over there, they didn't get their royalties. They didn't save their money, or if they worked for nothing, just to have a job. It was big here in America. And a lot of people watch that, whites, blacks, everybody. Dramatic series. Now, how did the man wind? He was blocked. Let's get on the first one. 2 reasons. He wound up bad shape. Number 1, he was blocked from coming into Hollywood. A lot of people mention that. Damn, man, that dude's got swept in here. Same way the white guy, Andy Whitman, that did Spartacus on the old Star series. People said, man, Hollywood's waiting on that dude. And they were, probably. He died, tragic thing. He had some sort of cancer, Hodgkin, something. Sad. Just sad old bad luck, man. The roll of that dice. That's what a lot of people you see making it, man. The roll of the dice, the right place at the right time. Or Karma and her 2 dirty, bitchy daughters, Fate and Destiny. He got blocked out of Hollywood. Certain people, I'd say individuals, maybe 7 or 8, been in the system a good while. They didn't want Henry Selig coming into Hollywood. They knew people. They'd been in the business. Some of them married into influential families. Man, they put the word out to everybody. Oh man, or even begging probably. Hey man, oh boss man, we don't need that dude, man. Well, that's why he didn't show up in Hollywood. You look at those, his presence, eyes. The guy was magnetism. Had that long, lean build. People look good on the screen with it. No matter what their bicep size is, they got that perfect build. That he had those high pecs like you see young surfer guys have got. Not some overloaded feed bag pecs or something. The word went out. He just when he approached. That's why he went in Hollywood. 7 or 8 people, maybe more. Oh man, we don't need this dude over here. Oh man, that's cutting into mine. Then, that was all over the place, Shaka Zulu, all over Europe, all the countries, Asian countries, everywhere. It gave all those African people big time pride. People looked at them in a different way. Pride. A prestigious place in the world. History, grand history, great history of South Africa. Then a lot of people take stuff like this serious. He married that white woman. He had a black wife and black children. Now, you're representing black people. You're a representative for them all over the world, in the United States, a huge big continent of Africa and every other place. Because that Shaka Zulu was out there, man. That was like a slap in the face. Not that man. He shouldn't have been, he was the last man you'd think to be doing something like that. His popularity just dropped, especially among black people everywhere. He wasn't no more remarkable. If people didn't make a scene openly, they made a scene privately. It just swept through all black people. They didn't know about it over here in the States. He was married to a white woman. That did it. He didn't have a lot of money. He didn't make royalties originals. And after that, man, people, even those movies, he made a bunch of little half-assed movies. Wasn't paid nothing to start with. Wasn't like Shaka Zulu. That put him up there. Just dried up, his popularity just dried up. And he spent money, what he did have, he spent helping other young black people in the football, the soccer game. He put money into there and sponsored a lot of people out of his own pocket. So that's that for Henry Seeley. You never heard that anywhere else but the block off in Hollywood. Man, it would have been a great actor over here, man. What a career that dude would have had. Blocked out. Who did it? I don't think you can lay that on Whitey. Going back to people getting their foot in the door, how they're ripped off. I've talked about the authors, the novelists, how somebody died just on Social Security. They just weren't getting paid, man. What they should have got paid for their productivity, what they accomplished. And these deaths, they'd be talking about all these deaths clear to the day, to years and years. What happened to Sam Cooke? The damn thing does sound fishy. I laid it out for you yesterday. Guy drives miles and miles to a flea bit motel in a big Ferrari car, about $100,000 in them days, I guess it was. A lot of jewelry on, expensive jewelry, big time jewelry. Yeah, the whole thing's suspicious. Some people say because he tried to do his own production company. Well, that was unheard of. Even white celebrities didn't get into that back then. As old Elvis Presley said when he heard about Sam Cooke's death. He said, they only allow you to get so big. A man was trying to do something for himself, start a business. Now, I've talked about this every time black people try to do something for themselves. Somebody comes along messing them up. Like in South Carolina, that guy had that like a African village thing out there in the remote counties. You got counties like that. There's counties they claim in southeast Georgia, everybody in there is a black person. Mayor, sheriff, whole damn yard. Somebody says the South, some counties in the southeast, I don't know where they are, but I know a lot. the huge population in there, they can do something for themselves. You had a thing done in what we call the Miracle Valley. Now that way down, you're talking about down on the Arizona-Mexican border, way down there. Now this dude, this old preacher, I think they got their property from this old preacher, the hustler that poor white people gave their money to, the one that died in a closet, San Francisco, drunk, taking everybody's money, some red-headed dude. I can't place his name now. I think they got the property for him. Or they might have been part of his hustle. I don't know. Anyway, these black people all moved down there. And a little hole in the wall place, Miracle Valley is called down there. I think. I don't know what the town is. Now, excusing white people. Most of the people there are Indian and Latino. Let's get that out there right now. Well, all these people showed up. I mean, maybe about 45, 50, I don't know. They brought that property, and we're living in that. Now, the thing started when the kids started going to school in that area. They just wasn't wanting it. That's just the way it is. This is something happened in school. Well, fights broke out. They had to defend themselves. Small community, no place to go. And then they were spotlighted to start with. Here we go again when people do these things. Happened in Waco, Texas. Oh, check. They have nothing to do down there. Here, this is what I'm talking about. The city just got to find something to do. Some of these law enforcement places, they don't even have to, they're not even needed in some of these little old communities. Down there fooling around, some dude had a warrant on him. Went to get him. The people were already pissed off anyway from being outcasts, outsiders. Put up a fight. People got killed. I don't know who it was. I don't even know if it was like law enforcement or whatever. Let's just put it in the big picture. Couldn't leave those black people alone. Down there trying to do their own thing. I told you about the resort in California. Black people weren't welcome in those other resorts, wherever they were up there. Somewhere in the Central Valley. Black people doing their own thing. Had these little cabins, they go out there on vacation, had boats, and they had swimming, I don't know what else. Because they weren't welcome to those other places. You had a bunch of dumbass rednecks went out there and burned the place down. Black people trying to get away and do their own thing. Here these fools come along, set up obstacles for them. You had black people trying to start businesses. Somebody messes with them. You had a case with Nation of Islam. They got a contract somewhere out there in L.A. I think it was over in that neighborhood where that old black bodybuilder lived. The one that had big arms before anybody else did. Bill Pettis was his name. Wound up homeless and everything. Well, he lived over there in those projects. That's how he became homeless. He was an easygoing guy. People took advantage of him. Some chick came in there and wanted a place to go, and she wasn't on the contract or whatever they call that. So that caused him problems. He got kicked out and wound up homeless. Bill Pettis got the first guy that had big ass arms before anybody else did in the bodybuilding world. I'm trying to think of the name of that neighborhood right there. Anyway, the Nation of Islam had a contract to provide security in there. Had somebody comes along, had to stick their nose in people's business, man. Here we go again. They lost that contract. Somebody complained. Somebody behind the scenes comes in there. Here we go again. It was news all over the place. Well, that's just another example with the guy down there. Africa. Oh, yeah, the Africa people. Philadelphia. They weren't even in a white neighborhood. Couldn't do their own thing. That's the people that got bombed out. This country seems to love to bomb people. It's always, you can name huge instances. Waco was another one. Oh, something happened. A flare set off the explosive, blah, blah, blah. They bombed the whole block up there in Philadelphia. American people, oh, there's the incident. One time, Americans were bombed by their own government. All the smartasses out there, man. I'm not even going to tell you which one it was. Drop bombs on American people. Oh, you flag wavers out there and tell them, freedom, our freedom. Man, you see that everywhere. People getting so sick of hearing that crap. What freedom are they talking about? Anyway, those people they were in a predominantly black neighborhood. Somebody complained about something. I think they were trying to start an organic garden. And they had human waste piled up, or dog waste too, and blah, blah, like that, man. So they stuck their nose in those people's business. I don't even think they were militant or nothing. Kind of back to nature people. Well, there's another one for you. They got bombed out. Black people trying to do their own thing. And these musicians and people getting ripped off. People didn't get what they need. People like Etta James, a huge talent, should have been up on Broadway. And all the people that worked with her in the musician business said she was the best. A lot of things. According to her, she got trapped into contracts with these, some old place called Chess. And people asked her, what did you do around here? She said, I was just another slave on the Chess plantation. Go check it out. That's what the woman said. She was a great singer. I used to have some of her music. And I'm not somebody who goes over there and buys all black music. Didn't have any money. Stop. She didn't get up on those big contracts. I've talked to you about Gwen McCrae. Sexiest song ever made by a woman without a lot of so-called obscene words in it. I don't know what happened to her. She had a stroke. I think she's a poor little old woman in a nursing home somewhere. According to what they say, her ex-husband, due to investments, the dude was worth $400 million. I don't know why he couldn't go help his poor ex-wife, even if he didn't like her. Anyway, people leech, you show these black celebrities, something's always coming up, man. People don't know how they die. Broke. Best thing a black man can do if he gets any signs of wealth or something, watch his back, man. Get her out of these cities where they're caught up in that drama. Just go down south, so in the small towns, and buy you a big old home. Be secured, have your money secured. You had a case of a certain rapper. I was telling a guy the other day this. I think I was telling one of my handlers. This guy got chopped up for, here we go again, sexual harassment, rape. Now here, this chick goes before some judge. I told a man how this probably went down. Now this old judge probably never seen that woman. She wasn't giving him some side stuff. He just saw a rich rapper, didn't like rap music to start with. He saw a rich rapper and he had more money than he did. So what this dude's going to come up right straight, easy to common sense, he's going to go in that woman's favor. Whether it's true or not, another hustler, he ruled in that woman's favor. That's probably why she got over right there. Didn't like the rapper. Black man gets a little money, something like that. He's got to watch his back continuously. And you had people like Bill Cosby. People badmouthed what he said. If he told the truth, he said, well, the people that studied in schools. He said, we had people been fighting and getting beat the hell out of them and getting killed to try to get you that opportunity, but go in there and mess it up. That's what the lack of discipline happened. It's leaked over today. Ask Larry Elder. He was a young man at that time when they desegregated the schools of Los Angeles. Tell him what happened. Why people cut out. Which comes down to no discipline. Now, here's your good old friends of best friend the black man ever had. These old white liberals. Now, what you had cases like, I'm going to lay up one on you. Had a case done in South Central, I think, South LA. Guy goes to school. Here's how that breakdown started. Guy's acting up in there. He comes in there with that negative attitude out of the home and out of the ghetto itself. So he's going down there in school. He's pissed off anyway about something. And white teachers and stuff in there when the integration happened. The woman tries to just something to the guy, hey man, sit down here. We didn't have this running around in here. We got something to do here. The guy acts up. They go back up there, and I think they might have thrown him out of school. Well, here comes one of these big, loud, mouth troublemakers. Those signifiers are just rampant in the ghetto, man. She goes up there. What are you doing, my boy? You're racist. Now, here's how it got big. All of a sudden, here they come. All these old guilt-ridden white liberals, some half-assed left wing. Oh, she's got to be right. Anything a black woman says is the truth. They come up, man, down. You got these big old demonstrations. Then everybody in the school gets scared. The teacher goes to the principal, he's scared. The board of supervisors, they all get scared. They say, oh man, let it go. And pretty soon this became the huge attitude in black schools. Pretty long black schools turned out to be. Just do your job and go home. Don't rock the boat. Let the kids run wild. People ain't learning nothing. This is what Cosby was talking about. But didn't like Cosby. He was real rich at one time. I think he was rich at one time. He might have been the richest black man in the world during certain years. Now, if you've ever been to California, you got Santa Monica, California, you got down there old Venice Beach. Those people were nothing. Venice Beach used to be a poor people's neighborhood. It's a shame what it turned out to be. Between Santa Monica and Venice Beach, there was a place called Ocean Park. At that time, it was just nothing. Cosby went down there and he bought a lot of properties in that area. Way back when, cheap as hell. That's where he really made his wealth, not off some I Spy. That's when he big saved his money right in there, and he invested wisely. Today, man, that's one of the highest rent properties anywhere in L.A. County. Businesses going in there, headquarters of this, headquarters of these old fancy-ass sport and hiking bunch. That's a high rent thing. I don't think he owns it. He might have sold all that. Even if he did, he's making money. But the man got out there and did something for himself. And it caused a lot of jealousy. So you got that factor. Black people, they try to do something for themselves. People cutting them down. You didn't get the money they paid for. Clear back over in the book literary world, music business. Guys showed up, talking, where's my money? Said, get the hell out of here. Another guy's out there waiting to take his place, cheaper. Well, I've laid all this out here for you. You've never heard from before. You know, that people talk about, and what I laid out to you about that property, reparations, the way it should be handled. When I get on my homeless thing, which I'm an expert on, I'm going to tell you how that should be handled. Same way I'm talking about that the black people own that property. The rental things. Now, the way I laid it down in that previous thing about how that reparation should be handled, you've knocked a hole in the wall in people's lives, man. That's what eating a lot of black people up today. They're in these places, it's hard for them to go rent somewhere else, some over here. They got these old forms they all got to fill out now, and the background check, blah, blah, blah. When they are in some of these places, they can't afford. By the time you see people going to these places getting these groceries and stuff, especially the end of the month, their money goes, they don't want to be homeless. Their money goes into that rip-off apartment they're in. They got to keep that up. They'd rather be there and have to go look some other place, face a bunch of prejudice, stuff like that. They hold on. You see poor people all races doing that. Go to San Francisco up there. Guys wearing old raggedy clothes, man. People say, hey, what did they do? Go to the Goodwill. He can buy. They can't spare that penny, man. They're living in closet-sized so-called rooms and apartments down in the Tenderloin, man. And they're glad to be there. They don't want to be homeless. Nice place in the world. You'd think it'd be homeless people. San Francisco, all those radicals, revolutionaries. You'd think that'd never happen there, man. They would fight the system. And talk about, like I talk about, places where the rents are just maintain the building. Now, that's what I talked about here on reparations. Could be done. And one way to do it going into these small towns. Now, the money should be put in there and put young people to work. They can fix those old places up. Huge, big buildings in a lot of these small towns, mansions, really. They could go in there and refurbish those things. Young black men in the bar, they could go do this in these black neighborhoods. These homes should be given to these people, sitting there damn empty. Or sold for $1 like they used to do in a lot of places. You get a homestead in there. You can buy a house for $1, put $10,000 in it, and you got a home. I don't know why that's not being brought back in all these poor communities. Now, I'm running up there close to 35 minutes. I'm going to bring up another thing here. This is from you black people out there. Keep your eyes on this. Watch how your leaders, your so-called people, supposed to be looking after you, how they handle this. Liberty City. Liberty City in Miami is that famous place. They had their riots and some black people slaughtered some white dudes or some damn thing. Anyway, that is the big time ghetto in Miami. Now guess what about this place? The rising sea levels. It's going to be coming up. You can see it now. Can't even get insurance on these beach places. Rising sea levels. Going to affect that whole damn state down there, and they're all in there with their head up their rear ends, not even making plans for it. Guess what? Liberty City's at a high elevation. There's other people going to want that, man. That real estate's going to kick up. Black populated. That means they're going to go in there and mess with black people. You're going to have to move them out, get rid of them, do some silly flim-flam sucker thing. Now, it's been talked about, not the way I'm talking about. How's that going to go down? Who's going to let that go by and let them black people be run out of there, man? That should be nationwide attention getting. How are they going to stand up for those people? Who's going to wind up selling them out? How are they going to maneuver in there and do that takeover and dislocate a bunch of black people again? That's prime territory. There's already plans behind the scenes being schemed out right now. How they're going to hustle that thing away from black people. Okay, I left that out there presenting something important. So-called people were black leaders or whatever, representatives. Shit, they ain't got no leaders in a long time, man. I'm not going to do it anymore. I think I've covered enough on black people's thing. I might cover some more in the entertainment and the second and third entertainment thing I do. But that's it for the black subject for me. I've lived in the ghetto and all that. But that don't mean I'm some expert. A lot of people are going to say I shouldn't even be talking about it. Maybe they're right. I don't give a damn. I talked about it. It's a tough